Camper Vibe is a YouTube channel ran by Lou and Emily. Their content revolves around everything outdoors, from exploring Europe in their camper van to renovating old derelict cottages. On January 4th of 2023, Lou uploaded a video where she ventured out into the Deering Woods on a solo camp. Unbeknownst to her, the Deering Woods has an interesting history. In the description, she states, "After the mammoth social event that is Christmas, I decided to head into a local woodland for some much-needed solitude. Normally, I don't mind camping alone, even as a solo female wild camper. Not much scares me. But this woodland was different. I didn't know it when I first arrived, but these screaming woods hold the world record for being the most haunted place in the UK. It wasn't long before I started to find out why this place has a reputation." Being oblivious to the history of the woods, Lou starts off just fine. Upon arrival, she sets up her hammock, cuts some firewood, and starts cooking dinner. As Lou eats, amidst the noisy birds and gunshots from nearby hunters, she can make out what sounds like a child's screams.
Sounds like kids screaming. That's just a train. Is it a bird or is it kids screaming? That's a bird. That's a gunshot. I don't know if you're able to hear a lot of this, it's pretty distant, but it sounds like kids screaming.
Lou ends up not putting too much emphasis on it, since it could simply be kids playing. She continues eating and later sits by a fire while talking to her audience. That's when the sounds start up again. Finding it bizarre this time, she aims a flashlight into the forest to try and see what could be causing it. Though unable to find anything, Lou ends up calling it a night and goes to bed. However, around 2 a.m., Lou starts hearing strange sounds coming from outside of her tent. Heavy footsteps can be heard walking around the tent. Then they abruptly stop, dead in their tracks. An hour and 20 minutes later, at 3:50 a.m., Lou hears another set of footsteps. Being visibly shaken at this point, she waits 30 minutes and finally gains enough composure to take a look.
What the fuck was that? I don't want to turn the light on because I'm pretty convinced there's been a person or persons. What the fuck? I've never wanted the morning to come as much as I do right now.
The rest of the night passes without incident. After the morning finally arrives, she gets ready for the day, and afterwards addresses what happened.
There is a public footpath just over here somewhere, probably quite a few more yards yet.
At first, I thought perhaps someone from the footpath had got lost and wandered in. That was the first time at 2 o'clock in the morning. When it happened again at 3 and then again around 3:20, I decided it's definitely not just a lost dog walker at that silly o'clock. So, yeah, don't know what it was, but there was definitely someone walking around this tent. It was no way was it a deer or a fox or any kind of mammal. The footprints were all wrong. Safe to say I did not sleep very well at all.
The Deering Woods are widely known as a paranormal hotspot and even has whole tours guiding people through the supernatural history. However, Lou also mentioned earlier in the video that others were in the forest hunting, and with the extremely human-like footsteps, that possibly might be even more disturbing than anything paranormal. It's truly terrifying imagining the intentions of someone pacing around your campsite at odd hours of the night, especially alone as a female traveler. Given how close and unmistakable the footsteps were, It makes you wonder what they could have been contemplating. Brendan Explores is a stealth camping YouTuber who travels across the UK, visiting different regions in his camper van. His content mainly focuses on life on the road, modifications on his van, and lighthearted exploration. But on February 11th of 2024, Brendan posted a video where he planned on visiting a notoriously bad town known as Jaywick.
The eventual goal of today's video is to go and visit, or possibly drive through, Clacton-on-Sea and finish our adventure at a little town in England called Jaywick, coined as one of the most deprived towns in the UK. And I thought, as soon as I'm in the area, I just had to go and see it.
When Brendan arrives, he explores the town, not noticing anything irregular or inherently bad, even stating how his experience so far didn't match the terrible things he'd heard. Later on in the evening, he cooks dinner, but afterwards starts to feel uneasy about the parking lot that he chose to stay the night at. Since he was the only one there, he felt like he could be an easy target for potential thugs.
There was a few cars parked around me. There was a van over there. And now I am the only one in this car park, and I wonder why. I'm going to follow my gut instinct. I'm not parking here tonight. Just got a funny feeling about it.
He decides to move to an isolated location with no houses near and begins setting up his bed, where he proceeds to fall asleep. Until 2 a.m., where he's awoken by the sounds of footsteps.
I think someone's outside the back. Someone just tried the door. Hey!
Minutes later, he steps outside to assess the damage, where he sees the mess of shattered glass. The footage is genuinely unnerving, especially since where Brendan parked was secluded, and without knowing what the intruder's intentions were, or if they were armed. The comments seem to echo this sentiment, and only further agree with how dangerous and crime-riddled Jaywick is. But a small number of the comments claim the video to be a hoax, and that the glass shattering sound could have simply been added in post. However, when looking back, Brendan seems genuinely frightened, and his fear seems immediate and unscripted. And when enhancing the footage, something else becomes visible. Just moments before the glass shatters, a figure passes by, briefly blocking the light shining into the van. Proof that someone was there, making it far more likely that the incident was real. The next morning, Brendan makes it back to his home, deciding to call off the trip due to the damage on his van, and because of how shaken up he was. Not wanting to leave his audience in the dark, he updates them on what happened.
Everywhere. But the van was in no fit state to continue camping in, and nor was my headspace, should we say. So I think I'm going to be picking my spots to camp a little bit differently in future. What used to be the golden egg of finding a nice little quiet spot in the middle of nowhere with no road noise, let's just say it isn't exactly prime picking anymore. I think it's places like that would-be thieves would see a vehicle by itself and see it as a target. But they probably saw inside the front cab, saw the curtain covering this huge box, and I can only assume they thought it was a toolbox or something, and decided to put the window in. But as soon as I shouted, they ran off up the road, and as soon as I got back in the van and started driving back up the track, I could see a car in the distance that quickly sped off. So I don't know if they're in a vehicle, or if the person that smashed the window ran up the road and jumped in a car, but I couldn't make it out from the quarter of a mile I was away.
Welcome to the Woods UK is a channel ran by a man named Carl. The channel focuses on wildlife, as well as camping and building huts. In February of 2024, Carl uploaded a regular video intended to update his audience on the progress of a cabin he was building, only to find that same cabin untethered from the ground and destroyed. This left Carl confused, claiming that there shouldn't be anyone else in the woods, since it's private property and he is the only one with permission from the landowner. He proceeds to check his trail cameras, and what he sees next only further adds to the confusion.
Starts off, comes out of the woodland, and then all of a sudden it seems to trigger the camera again and then come back out. That again happens about a week later on camera 4, but this time it's daytime and it's a bit more explainable. I mean, it looks to me like someone's in there poaching for the deer perhaps, or doing a bit of wildlife photography, but whoever it is shouldn't be there. They haven't got permission to be there. It's only me. I've I've phoned the landowner, Chris. He swears blind and no one else should be in there. It's quite secure as well. There's a figure at night time. I've never seen anyone in the 2 years that I know in there, even on any of the trail cams. Now, trail cam 1 didn't do very well. It's definitely, again, if it's not the same person, it is a person. They're dressed up in some sort of camouflage or poncho. I mean, it looks like they've got a big beard. I think it's a man, to be honest with you.
On the trail cameras, someone can be seen walking around the woods, mostly in the night. The strangest part is that whoever it is has been traversing the land near perfectly in the pitch dark, as if they knew exactly where they were going. Later that night, while heading back to his car, Carl starts hearing what sounds like wood chopping close by.
I don't know if you can hear it. I didn't see anything, but I could hear like wood splitting, like as in like someone chopping wood, like with an axe or something. I'm not entirely sure what that would have been. That was it. Right, okay. I don't think that's got anything to do with poachers, that noise. That's pretty much what happened to me last January. So, didn't plan on staying the night in here tonight. So I'm going to go back to the car.
After a few days of rest, Carl returns to the woods to spend the night, this time prepared. He sets up his tent and also rigs a sound trap around his campsite, meaning anything that trips it while he's sleeping will alert him.
I'm going to strap that to a tree and then run a trip line all the way around the immediate vicinity of my camp at about waist height. If that pin gets pulled from there because of the trip line being activated, this will let a charge off and it will hopefully either scare away whatever it is that's creeping about and it will wake me up.
As it begins to rain, Carl ends up going into his tent and being forced to wait it out. With the rain showing no signs of stopping, Carl ends up opening a few beers and spends the rest of the night watching videos. After a while, Carl starts getting ready for bed, until 11:45, where things start to get disturbing.
I've not got a clue what that noise was. There's about 8 different noises, sound like someone was walking around about 40 yards away. I had no bang off of the alarm, but definitely a banging in the woods.
The same wood chopping sound from the night before can be heard, as well as footsteps that seem to be mere feet away. Surprisingly enough, whoever this is doesn't get close enough to trigger the sound trap, almost as if they knew it was there. Some comments seem to think that this could be a homeless man who is trying to scare Carl away from his territory. I feel like this is pretty plausible, since it would explain the intentional aggressive hitting sound that no animal could make purely by itself. Nonetheless, whoever was stalking Carl that night is still unknown.